trip abroad can make all the difference. In the mid-70s, a literature student from New York discovered the Cinémathèque Française and decided to dedicate himself to making films. Lucky for us and for France, that young man was Jim Jarmusch, one of the masters of American independent cinema. In June 2011, in recognition of his contribution to global film culture, the cineaste received the insignia of Officer of the Order of Arts and Letters from the French Embassy. Canapé is on hand to interview the filmmaker.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. When I was young and studying literature at Columbia College, Columbia University, I got to go my last year and study in France, in Paris, for 6 months, and I stayed a bit longer. But this was the first time I really discovered the variety of cinema. I ended up not completing all of my classes because I was in the Cinémathèque all the time. So it was incredibly inspirational just cinematically for me and opened up the world of cinema. But also I was tracing the steps of Breton's book Nadja. I was reading Georges Bataille and Baudelaire and Pierre Reverdy and Balzac. So I was seeing paintings and architecture and the light of the city at night. And so it was quite, when I was 20 years old or something, it was had a huge effect on me. And also the idea that France always seemed to welcome artists, or so many artists ended up there. And then honoring them in this way is quite unusual to me. So yeah, it's an important inspiration for me. It continues in various ways, and certainly contemporary artists from France, both filmmakers or writers like Jean-Jacques Schule, some amazing people in France that still inspire me continually. We made a film that we thought was made by friends, sort of for ourselves. And then we went there really with nothing. We were putting up our own posters and doing everything we could to sort of promote the film. And we were just hoping someone might see the film. And then to have it be appreciated was a real surprise to us. So I'm still a little bit in shock from that, but it allowed me to continue and make another film and to keep making films. So it was a very important experience somehow. Well, I'm again honored, and I'm moving up too, so in the ranks, whatever that means. But I'm moving up toward, Patti Smith and Iggy Pop. In any case, just having been a Chevalier was an honor to me, so I'm just happy to be here.
Sometimes a kidnapping is more than a crime. The 1978 case of a French Playboy millionaire caught the nation's attention as level after level of his decadent lifestyle was revealed by the press. When does a victim become someone getting a just comeuppance? That's the moral thread of Wrapped, Luca Belvau's contemporary fictionalized riff on the original affair. Canapé sits down with the director and his lead actor, Yvan Attal, to talk about their morally ambiguous thriller.
Pendant les 60 jours, la presse va enquêter sur le personnage pour savoir pourquoi, parce que la police n'a aucun... Il y a une demande de rançon qui est très importante, mais la police n'a aucun indice. Et donc on va se demander si c'est politique, si c'est une histoire privée. Et donc sa vie privée va être mise en pâture pendant 60 jours. On va se rendre compte qu'il finalement il a perdu beaucoup d'argent au jeu, qu'il n'est plus aussi riche que tout le monde le croyait, qu'il a eu des maîtresses. Et sa famille va découvrir ça en même temps que la France entière. Et ce qui fait que quand il va revenir, il y aura eu tellement de révélations sur sa vie que sa famille, ça a provoqué une espèce de rejet absolu de sa famille. Et il vivra son retour de façon pire que la détention qui pourtant a été épouvantable. Et c'est ce qui est vraiment spécifique dans cette histoire, c'est que la libération est pire que la détention. C'est un acteur extrêmement facile, Yvan. Il est très sincère, il est très investi et il est aussi metteur en scène. Et ça change beaucoup de choses parce que ça fait un acteur très tolérant des doutes que peut avoir un metteur en scène, très attentif à la technique. Donc, quoi qu'il en dise, enfin, il sait ce que j'attends de lui quand je lui parle, quand je mets la caméra à un endroit. Et ben, les acteurs metteurs en scène comprennent intimement de quoi il s'agit. Et donc, tout devient facile et on ne parle plus que des choses vraiment indispensables. Et donc, je l'ai laissé quand même assez libre.
It was obvious that I had to lose weight and I had to look like him. So, to make believe that I stayed 2 months in detention. So I started a diet with the guy who prepared me, who was with me, etc., etc. But I underestimate how it will be really. I was all the time alone because I had 50 grams of rice and a few vegetables, so it was big temptation for me to go and have a meal with my kids or at home or with the crew. So I was really, really alone for many months. And it was really brutal because we had to go fast for the movie. So I was really in a very strange state, really. Physically, psychologically, emotionally. I could cry for anything. Yeah, it was the best preparation, actually.
Le moment peut-être le plus fort où toute l'équipe a eu les poils qui se hérissaient, c'est la scène où il est à table avec ses filles après la libération, où vraiment enfin il peut laisser passer son émotion. Donc là, ça a été extrêmement fort et émouvant, et sur le plateau, et au montage, et après encore quand je vois la scène. Après, quand les films sortent et que ça se passe bien, c'est effectivement des moments de bonheur à répétition, et c'est très, très agréable.
Once upon a time, a vacationing American jazz bassist saw some folks playing music in the small southern French mountain town of Saint-Césaire. They invited him to sit in. And so a transatlantic jam session began. Now the town hosts an annual week-long jazz laboratory, and in spring 2011, French musicians visited New York to practice their chops with their American friends. Canapé visits the founders of the ongoing musical dialogue.
Saint-Césaire-sur-Siagne is a little village above Grasse, the town where you find perfumes. It's well known in the world. It's above Cannes also. We do music in Saint-Césaire for 4 years with my friend Santi de Briano, who used to spend his holidays down there. I was playing music with my friends at home in the village, and he heard some music, he came and said, well, you guys are playing kind of jazz, can I enter?
I really wasn't that aware of how much interest there was in this little village for a jazz presentation like this.
He told me about Ronnie Benur, a friend of his, who wanted to do master classes, and so we organized it. We are having our 4th year of master class of jazz with Ronnie Benur happening in Saint-Césaire.
As anybody who lives here, when you tell them a little village in the French Alps, you say, whoa, I want to go there. And actually, the first time that we went there, I went early with my family and we went to Paris. And then we drove down from Paris to Saint-Césaire. And I said to Fred, I don't know what time I'll get there, but if I get there too late, how can I find your house? So Fred says in his usual sense of humor, which I didn't know then, he says, well, there's an olive tree next to my house. And I said to myself, man, I think I'm going to spend the night with my family in the car. And we turn all these dark roads, and boom, we're at the center of the village. And the place is lively. It was like a Fellini movie. Hundreds of people in the square dancing and singing, and hundreds of empty bottles of wine, and everybody is excited. It was really great. A great way to come to Saint-Césaire.
We do these jam sessions at night, and there's at least 50, 60 people that come and sit down, and they bring their food. They're going to be there from 9 o'clock at night until 11:30 at night. up in the mountain on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. It's been exciting. Now to teach, to prepare this music for them, it's a labor of love, you see. And now we've got a core group of Americans that have been coming, and they can't wait to get back with the Saint-Césaire people.
And we are happy at the end of the week, at the final concert. We see everyone is happy and has spent a nice week in our little town.
So you start like this to do.
One of the students organized this concert here at Merkin. He said, we're going to do this. And we've spoken about it ever since I met Fred, that you should come to New York and see it. And Fred's always been, so busy on the mountain. He's a doctor. It's a trip to see them here in New York.
Music is a bridge. It creates so many bridges and it breaks so many barriers that it's, I think, one of the important things that happens when we do this experience at Saint-Césaire is people who don't speak the same language, who have a hard time to communicate, they know that they are very close friends. The minute we start to play music, we felt like we were one family. And that's not just true for Americans and French, it's true everywhere in the world. Everywhere we go, the minute the music plays a part in this experience, there are no more walls, there are no more barriers. And music is able to connect between the people, and you have a love affair between people who don't speak the same language because of the music.
Sometimes being an older sister isn't easy. What if you're talented, but your little brother happens to be child prodigy Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart? Such is the tantalizing premise of the new historical drama Mozart's Sister, a treat for classical music lovers and cinephiles alike, says Variety. The pick is a stunner. Canapé explores the distinctly musical family story as it chats with director René Ferré.
J'ai décidé d'offrir à Nanner l'un destin qu'elle n'a pas eu vraiment, puisqu'elle n'a pas eu ce rapport avec les filles de Louis XV, elle n'a pas eu ce rapport avec le dauphin. Voilà, donc il y a eu un mélange entre la réalité de ce qu'ils étaient et la fiction que j'ai ajoutée.
Quiconque n'a fait ce genre de voyage ne peut s'imaginer tout ce qui est nécessaire. Et cela dure depuis bientôt 3 ans. Permettez-moi de vous présenter les enfants Mozart. La fillette, âgée de 14 ans, et le garçon, 10 ans à peine. Daniel! C'était interdit de toucher un violon.
Vous irez à la cour. Je veux que vous lui remettiez cette lettre.
Je vais voir le dauphin de France.
Si vous pouviez le faire sourire. Vous devez passer pour un garçon. Hugues est dans les appartements du dauphin et celui-ci est en plein veuvage. Aucune fille étrangère n'est autorisée à l'approcher.
Écrire de la musique?
Oui. Composer, inventer votre musique. Vous aimeriez?
C'est vrai qu'en voyant le rapport Léopold Nanner, j'ai un peu pensé à mon rapport propre avec mes propres filles, quoi. Il y avait plusieurs paris. Bon, déjà, il fallait que mes filles soient bonnes. Bon, donc on a eu très peur, parce qu'on a fait jouer à Marie quand même un rôle de musicienne. On lui a fait jouer du violon, alors qu'elle n'avait jamais touché un instrument. Nous, on n'est pas du tout une famille qui avons une pratique musicale. Moi, ce qui m'intéressait, c'est le processus créatif que ça raconte et l'identité de Nanner. Et puis, bon, il y avait ce pari-là, il y avait le pari de la musique aussi. Hein, réussir à faire naître une musique qui serait celle de Nanner le Mozart, sans que ça ressemble à celle de son frère, bien que ça reste quand même dans le baroque de l'époque, et puis que ce soit aussi suffisamment maladroit parce qu'elle n'a pas vraiment appris. Donc voilà, il fallait montrer que son sentiment amoureux la portait, mais que ça manquait un peu de technique quand même. Bon, je pense que Marie-Jeanne Serrero a bien réussi ce pari-là.
J'ai joué votre musique dès que je l'ai reçue. Quelle beauté, quelle pureté.
Je ne suis pas une fille comme les autres.
Imaginez comme nos destins eussent été différents si nous avions été des garçons. Vous seriez votre frère et je serais le mien. Nous régnerions toutes les deux, vous sur la création et moi sur les hommes.
Sometimes small places produce large talents. Take the case of the island of Martinique and the film director Ouzane Palissy. Her first film, the coming-of-age tale Sugarcane Alley, is considered a classic of Caribbean cinema. Her next film, A Dry White Season, attracted the talent of Marlon Brando. Over the next 15 years, she produced more than 15 fiction and documentary works. Many awards have followed. Canapé chats with the Martinican artist about her career.
The Museum of Modern Art decided a year ago to do a retrospective of my work. Actually, the first retrospective ever. To launch that retrospective, MoMA decided to start with Sugarcane Alley. That was my first film. In France, actually, to be fair, if you say Sugarcane Alley, Wicca's Negre, everybody knows, they know. But if you talk about A Dry White Season, about the Ruby Bridges, about Simeon, about all the other works that I did, they don't know who. They don't even know that I did A Dry White Season. They don't even know that I am the only woman who directed Marlon Brando. I'm the person who brought him back to the screen after 10 years of retirement, you know, and I forced him to come back, you know, because he didn't want to act anymore. I was so lucky because the vice president of MGM was simply and miraculously Marlon Brando's spiritual brother. His name is Jay Cantor. So I talked to Jay Cantor, and when everything was set, okay, MGM will make the film, and I told him, and I said, well, Jay, I need your help, you know. And he said, no problem, I'll call Marlon. And he just picked up the phone and he called Marlon, and Marlon had a meeting at home. So he said, give me her number and I'll call her. The phone rings, I pick up the phone, and there it is. There he is, he's on the phone. Hello, bonjour, c'est Monsieur Brando. That's the way he said it. And then we started to talk and to laugh, and we had a full conversation in French for 1 hour, joking and talking about all kind of things. And then at the end I said, well, but now let's talk about the reason why I was trying to reach you. And I told him about my dream to have him be part of that adventure. And he said, mm-hmm. And I said, don't say no, don't say anything. I want to give you the script, just meet with me, and I want you to see my first film. And because I can't talk about who I am, I can't talk about myself, but my movie will speak for me. So and he said, good. And with Jay Cantor, we organized a dinner at his house and a screening at his house at Beverly Hills. And Brando came that night, and that's how we met. It was very magic. It was magical. I mean, it was just like, and he saw Sugarcane Alley, and he was so moved by the film. He had tears in his eyes, and after that we met. You know, he called me 3 days later to ask me to meet again, because he read the script, he loved it, and he said, I'm going to do it. And we talked, and I made him very upset when I said to him, well, but I have just a very important thing to tell you, sir. You know that Hollywood, they don't like to produce political films. They rarely do that, except if it's something huge, big, with a lot of action, and very American. And I said, that's not the case. So the budget will be very, very small. And I know that, you know, your fee is $5 million. And he said, well, who told you that I'm saying yes because I want to be paid? You think that if I'm saying yes for a part that is not the lead, It's a very important part, yes, but it's not the lead. And if I'm doing my comeback to the screen, that has to do with money. And he was so upset. I said, please, I'm sorry. I am sorry, you know. But you have to know. He said, but I know. I hate them. He said, don't. He went on and on about Hollywood. And he said, I'm going to do it for free. But what I want, when the movie will be paid, fully paid, I want the studio to commit to one thing. I would pick 5, anti-apartheid organizations, and I want the studio to give them on the gross, when everything is paid and everything is okay, I want the studio to give them some money. That's what he signs, that's the deal he signed with the studio. Very often people, they ask me, if you had one story to tell that you would like to tell, what would that be? It's a trap, because it's not just one. I have a few, not 10 or 20. No. I know, but I would like to make a movie about a very extraordinary woman, the first black female pilot on Earth, Bessie Coleman. That woman, that young girl who came from the cotton field, and she had the first international license to fly, and she got that in France, and she has to go all the way from the cotton field to Chicago, then to Chicago to New York, to go to France and get that. And she was just like a poor girl. And that's a story I would like to tell. I mean, that would be fantastic if I could do it. And I have been carrying that project for some good 9 years. And nobody will touch it. Even if when they read it, they are amazed by what she did. And I could see in their eyes that if she was white, they will say, oh my God, let's do it, of course. And they will put, a big star and to portray her. And the story will be just the next day in all the theaters. And they will say, because she really did that. If I didn't have pictures and proof, they wouldn't believe me. And a friend of mine who was the former head of Warner Brothers, vice president, senior vice president at Warner Brothers, she told me, she said, okay, this is not the Warner Brothers person talking, but your friend. She said to me, Uzan, the studio will never go for it because she's black. Another story that I really wanted to tell, badly, was the story of Toussaint Louverture. That great, that famous freedom fighter, Toussaint Louverture. Nobody wanted to do it because he was black and he was the lead of the movie. They even asked me, would you consider creating a white character? Create a white character, give us something. TriStar Studio told me that. Give me something to sell to the white audience. And I said, you might be kidding, sir. You are asking me to do a distortion of history? I cannot do that. That's not fair. And I said, but tell me, when you decide to produce films, and I will use your term, so I'll call it white stories, tell white stories. Do you care about how the black audience, the Latino audience, or the Asian audience will react? If they will go to see it, or if you need to market that specially for them? No. You just put a great movie out there, or a movie out there, and you market it, and people, they go and see it, or they don't go to see it if it's not good. I felt like, what are we doing on this earth? Why is this? What is it? Why can't we have the right to be on screen like anybody else? If our stories are good, if they are universal, if we are brilliant, why can't we be there? Because of skin color? I couldn't accept that. It was very, very painful for me that people could. I mean, it's as if you will say, okay, you don't deserve to breathe the oxygen that people are breathing just because you are black. you know? Or because you are female, white, black, or yellow, you cannot be on screen, you cannot have people putting money on you to lead a story. Why? Who decided that? In what Bible they wrote that stuff? So I remember that day, it was so painful for me, and I went back to my hotel, and I cried, the entire afternoon. It was hard for me to recover. And that day I said, okay, I think that I have to leave. I have to leave. They want me to do their stories, but there it is, a beautiful story like that. They don't want it. But yet they want my talent. They want me to tell their stories. And I said, you know what, I'm tired. I have to leave. I have to leave and to just do something else and do some humanitarian work, take care of kids in Haiti, in Africa, work with kids who want to be filmmakers and try to teach them the best I could. Help them because I feel like I'm alone and I'm lonely, and I've been lonely for too long. So I need to help others to come, and they will make movies and movies and movies, and maybe that's the answer to this kind of reaction, And I didn't want my heart to be full with hatred. I didn't want that. And I said, okay, if I don't do that, I will be so bitter. And I'm a woman of love, of passion, and I believe in humans and in humankind, and I just don't want to go on that road. And that's why I disappeared, and I did a lot of stuff, and because I'm not somebody who, people kept saying, well, where have you been? You did all this brilliant film and you disappeared and da-da-da. And I said, yes, I was working, And I'm not somebody, when I do something, I claim, I did this, I did that, I'm in the press. I don't do that. I do things because it's important to be done. And it makes me feel good. And that's it.